Giovanni from Alembic, the creative drinks agency that specializes in design, development and marketing of quality drinks education and beverage experiences. Alembic and ICCA Dubai together brings to you Cocktail Zero, the art of alcohol-free design drinks. Our certificate programs in dry mixology and bartending showmanship are designed not only for inspiring bar professionals working in the industry, but also for the serious enthusiasts interested in learning the art of mixology. Come, introduce yourself to the fascinating and soul-stirring world of alcohol-free designer drinks.
Good afternoon from Dubai, and a very good afternoon to all the viewers who are joining us today. Welcome to ICCA Live, World-Class Culinary Online. Today, we have yet another interesting session on dry mixology and bartending, Aperitif, the stimulant drinks. I would now like to hand over to our host, Shanaz Raja, Director of Courses at the ICCA Dubai. Over to you, Shanaz.
Thank you, Karun. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is our fourth webinar in the series, and bartending. If you are here for the first time, the previous 3 webinars are available for you to view on YouTube. And if you can't find them, let us know and we will send you the links. Once again, for those of you who are with us for the first time, a very short intro on master mixologist Giovanni De Pegola, fondly known as Mr. G, who will be taking our session today. Mr. G has over 20 years of experience in the beverage industry in Europe and MENA region. And he is also the co-founder of Alembic, a creative drinks agency which specializes in training and education. During this session, Mr. G will have a few questions for you which will pop up as polls. And if you have any questions for Mr. G, do type them into the chat and I will take them up for you. Without taking more of your time, over to you, Mr. G.
Hey, thank you very much, Shanaz. Thank you, Karun. That was a great introduction, as usual, fantastic. And welcome, you guys, really welcome. Today is all about Aperitif. Wow, what a session. So really interesting, definitely one of my favorite. You know, in Italy, we definitely know how to enjoy Aperitif. So I'm going to take you through a little journey today to understand what kind of characteristics we're looking for. Now, before to jump on the session today, I will take you a little bit back. You know, some people probably connect today for the first time. So here in ICCA, we run a course called Dry Mixology Bartending, and it's only focused on cocktail zero. So no alcohol, no alcoholic cocktails. So very fascinating world. For us, it's beauty because we play with so many different ingredients here. And when the students are coming along, they really have fun because it's very hands-on. They have time to do all the learning that is necessary for your foundation. That's when we start our episode, we were talking about the fundamentals. So we really discussed about the tools of the trade, how to utilize certain tools. And then also we learn how to really implement them through the method and techniques. And actually last week was a very interesting session regarding the glassware. So the importance how to really choose a good glass for your great cocktail. So, and we also saw the difference between a glass and a crystal. So we had a lot of questions coming along. So really, really cool sessions. And we have to say the interaction has been very good because then we have a lot of follow-up to do by emails, people asking questions related, of course, in the wonderful world of the cocktails. So today is about aperitif. What does it mean? Well, through our course, what we just do, we divide the entire world of cocktails in 5 different categories. And pretty much this is what's happening in the lovely world of cocktails. So what we do, you normally have an aperitif, then you normally have a food friendly, so something that you will drink along with your favorite food. And then we have outdoor. So outdoor means you can either be by the garden or by the pool. Why not? And then you have something related to teas and coffee. And then, of course, we close it with one of the trendy session, which is the tiki style. Well, tiki is a very, very trendy at the moment. People really enjoy that part. We will have a session dedicated to tiki, so we can go there much more in details when we're going to talk about around tiki cocktails. So we really divide by those 5 categories because it's very important. When we apply in terms of a cocktail has always a specific characteristic when also it should be enjoyed. In general, of course, if we are in the alcohol business, we never drink things in the morning. However, when we are about no-alcoholic cocktails, also, apart of your fresh juices and something that you can have in the morning, there's a great, a specific time where to enjoy certain cocktails because they're really performing better. And this is what we're going to really talk about today, which is about the aperitif. Now, aperitif is not something that is new, has been there for a long time. Imagine that even the Romans, they were enjoyed. They used to spice their wine to preserve, to give a much more longer shelf life, because that's what spices they do. They give a much more shelf life to an ordinary wine. And then, so that was the beginning of the vermouth. So very enjoyed and very simple. So an aperitif in general has a characteristic to be a very dry and bitter. So really, really important to remember that. Because the actual word aperitif, it comes from a Latin, which is called aperire. Well, in Italian means aprire, which means to open. So something that really will stimulate, and Karun mentioned the stimulate drinks. So that was on our time today. It's true because an aperitif should stimulate our tasting buds, should stimulate our appetite. So really, really important, what are kind of the ingredients we choose. So definitely a bit of a herbal and bitter. Those are the characteristics that really our palates and the entire senses are going to wake up and prepare for the meal. We should never forget how we taste it. So the tongue normally tastes the sweetness in the front, the bitters at the back, salt and sour on the side. And then we have the 5th element, which is the umami. Now, that's something that probably comes across mostly in a lot of Asian cuisine, but also in tomato, some cheese they also have. Not definitely the case of today, but this is good to know. So then we also understand the texture, it's very important, the texture in a cocktail. So when we talk about aperitif, a good aperitif, also a bit of a perlage. So a nice carbonation it can come from a champagne or sparkling wine, no-alcoholic sparkling wine are really great with good perlage. Or actually we can have today a bit of a showcase of a nice, cool soft drinks here we do have. So they will showcase a couple of one. One is called the Hibiscus, so that would be very interesting to see. And the other one is super cool because it's one of my favorite. It has a twist of a grapefruit tonic, so really, really citrus. Now, so this is pretty much a bit of an intro, understanding more of what are the characteristics of an aperitif. And this is for us is crucial. So when we enjoy a good aperitif, it's just before the meal. Normally, if we go in Italy, I'm sure you guys hopefully travel to Italy this year. During the summertime, you will see people enjoy outside the bars and the square, the lovely aperitif. And this is what happened there. They really enjoy the feeling of having this light carbonated with their small finger food that always goes together. So that's why it's a big difference between an aperitif and what you will see next week when we're going to talk about the food friendly. That category is different because it will have characteristics that will match, a bit of a food matching idea. So what should be a good cocktail that will match with that kind of style of food? So we're gonna have a few foods here, but that's for next week. So today we will concentrate on this. So what I will say, since Shahaz told us, I will drop questions to you. So let's say if so far, probably we are just almost at the beginning of our session where we give a small intro of the aperitif. Shannon, shall we do a small poll before we start actually making the cocktail? Shall we ask our guests? I think we put a question there. Let's see if all the guests are, or I have explained myself very well. So let's see.
Yeah, so the question is, what kind of characteristics should an aperitif cocktail have? And the questions, the answers are sweet and bubbly, slightly bitter and carbonated, dry and fruity. Okay, so let's see. I think they can't go wrong on this one. You've just told them the answer.
And
okay. So
everyone is getting it right?
No. 60% say it's bitter and carbonated. 13% say it's dry and fruity. and about 30% say it's sweet and bubbly.
Okay, okay. Now, well done for the guys that we say is bitter. And that's when you always have that in mind. When you come across an aperitif, always think of that bitter. And the light carbonation is a plus. Of course, there are other elements too. They're going to be involved. There's herbal tones, there's dry. But when we say fruity in general, fruity means people associate to much more a sweeter style. Imagine a classic passion fruit that normally we know passion fruit is quite round as a flavor, very tropical. So we can't really come across as, even if it's a bit sour, it's too fruity, it's too floral. So it cannot come across as an aperitif. Like the same, you will see probably other tropical flavor. So when we stick into that fruitiness, we have to go a bit of on a berry side that has a very cool bittersweet idea. So that's what we normally found in the raspberries, in certain berries, so the cranberry, for instance. So these are really, really good aperitif style. So the bitter element is the main thing. So well done to you guys. For the rest, please stay focused because we can have a couple more. And this is what we don't want to reveal more because we have a couple more definitely to polls to come to you. So enough of talking. I will say I will jump on making a wonderful first aperitif. So what do we mean by that? Is actually I'm going to make one of the really super beautiful. Shanas, we can show the recipe here because we have a recipe that you can download it. So now I will see. What we have here, we have a spritz syrup, and I will tell you what exactly is that. Then we have a lemon juice, and then we have a pasteurized egg white, and here you can have a lot of different substitution. And then we will have, as mentioned, one of my favorites, which is the actually carbonated, which is the grapefruit tonic style. So that's what is it. So let's go back on the screen and let's see what we're making here. Now, here we have, so one of these, as mentioned. So this cocktail is the spritz. The spritz actually is actually a cocktail on its own. And the guys here, there's a few brands that they have replicated this orangey flavor. Now the spritz is something made in Veneto, in a region in Italy. So we are really when you visit, you will see the guy that was serving this balloon. Actually, a fantastic good friend of mine. We call that the fish ball. You know. He always makes this beautiful balloon with a nice, so fresh, and he gets together is a spritz. So he actually normally has a liquor called the Aperol. So Aperol spritz is a cocktail, and it's made with Prosecco, and then it's done with a splash of soda water. So those are three elements, very simple drinks, garnished with an orange. So we're replicating here a bit of that texture. So we want our goal in Cocktail Zero is really to bring you the same feeling, because either you normally consume alcohol or you don't, but you want to have that same texture and feeling. So here is the spritz, what is inside. Then we will have the lemon juice, and here we have the actually fresh lemon juice. And here I always go between 10 to 15 milliliter. That's entirely really up to you how you want to balance. So this is a bit of the bitter, the sweet, and the sour goes together. And then we will have the pasteurized egg white. There we go. And here, pretty much what we do, we will shake it together. We'll have this fantastic foaming. So we'll have that really nice texture. And then we're going to finish with our top of the grapefruit tonic. So let me do that. So I will say that the history behind it. So the spritz was something born around the beginning, I would say 1920s, 1990s, 1920. So what happened then, they really got so popular, and people nowadays, they love it, that bittersweet idea. And this is what we want to replicate here. So let's see. Good shaking here. Don't forget, we saw that in the past that we never shake carbonated inside. So what we're going to do here, we're going to make that bittersweet mix together with the egg white, so really creates that foamy and texture, and then we'll mix together. Let's see. Excellent. Ooh, this is what we want. Beautiful. You know, I wish you can smell what wise man. So in this case, I will do Beautiful. Now this is a kind of a sound that we're looking for, that very cozy. And then we finish it. So the spritz is extremely popular, has been probably, I would say, outside Italy in the last 10 years, but definitely the last 5 probably exploded. So really, and this is what we will see. Look at that. So this is what people are engaged with the spritz. This is what they like to see. It's that foaminess, nice, that's what a good spritz will look like. And there we go. And of course, there is no spritz without the garnish that normally is an orange. It's an orange slice or an orange wedge. So in this case, what I will do, I will just put an orange zest. So this is what we do. We have a beautiful zest that will go on top. Now, mentioned a few times, sometimes the oil around here a bit too bitter for some people. So we tend to, when I like to by myself, because I like really bitter taste, I like to rim around, but sometimes people don't really enjoy that part. What I really like to rim around here is something that is the kaffir lime leaves, something like this that brings a lot of floral notes. And what we do is pretty much like this, and then we go inside. There we go. So this is our citrus spritz. Let me show you here, and you can clearly see much closer, a nice, beautiful, nice foam. And now pretty much is the time to try. So let me have a sip, because you can't make it without a try. Ooh, I really like this cocktail because the grapefruit really kicks in a lot of citrus, and then that bitter, the bittersweet elements of the lemons and the spritz, and then of course the finishing of the really floral of the kaffir lime leaves. In case you don't find kaffir lime leaves, they're very common in Asian cuisine. You will find them in the supermarket, very common. In case you don't find, well, on the season you can get maybe a lemon leaf, so you can find also some mandarin leaves. So pretty much any citrus leaves will do, because they really contain a lot of oil. So really cool. So I really like that to use when we do cocktail decoration like that. It's simple, and it's of course cost effective. So in terms of if we're running a bar, it really has a lot of interaction. We call them the functional drinks. So this is our citrus spritz. All around the spritz, the guys, when they come here to school, we take them through their own creation as well, so they can have a bit of variation into it. So there's plenty of a different style we can do. Yeah. So Shanaz, I think we prepare something between now. Can we ask them one more question to our guests or our viewers?
But before that, Giovanni, I have a question from our viewers. They are quite taken with you using egg in the drink, and I think they missed it when you showed us the methods and techniques. So Swapnali wants to know, what characteristic does the egg give? But I'll tell you all the questions and you can answer them together, okay? And so Swapnali asks, what characteristic? Ashish says, will it hit the taste of the drink? And Laram says, some guests don't like egg white, so do you have any other suggestion for that?
Yes, very good. I like those questions. Thank you very much for asking those questions. We mentioned those previously. So what we do, we tend to use, normally if you want to, in a very safe environment, you can use a fresh egg white, or you normally will use a pasteurized egg white. What we did in this case is a pasteurized, so it really doesn't have any kind of zero risk or anything. Now, that's in case of someone on the healthy side. In case someone doesn't really like, or maybe with like a vegan options here, you can have soya powder. So there is actually a powder which is soya, really easy to do it. So really easy to make it. It will give us really that foam. In case, then you get also the aquafaba, which is made from the chickpeas. So chickpeas, also the brine water, that really works very well. So there's many alternative there. In terms of the flavor, now the pasteurized white doesn't really give much of the flavor, but really gives the texture. Probably the fresh egg will give the egg white. But what we do, as you can see, when we squeeze, the zest of the oil will really kill any kind of a smell that will come from probably in the fresh egg white. The actual pasteurized will not have that exactly same smell. So mostly then the flavor, the egg white brings the texture, so it gives a very silky feeling. Now, if you don't like to use none of those, at the end of the day, you can do without. Then, of course, it will be slightly different texture, but we still give you a really nice feeling, because then you can really substitute that feeling in terms of the velvety when you're actually sipping. So that's what we want to achieve. So thank you, very nice questions. I like it.
So now we're going to give them a poll from our side. And the question is, which is the most appropriate time to enjoy an aperitif? Before dinner, no, after dinner, during lunch, before any meal? So Giovanni, 83% say before any meal, 16% say during lunch, and nobody says after dinner.
Great, excellent, very nice. That's good. Well done. Absolutely, 100%. So this one should have been 100%, not 83%. Why is totally? Is before the meal. Why? Because it comes from as we mentioned, the Latin, the aperire, to open. So really some stimulated, and that's what we want to give to you. So when you actually enjoy your feeling, then your tasting buds are all over, and then you're ready to go for a meal. Can be your lunch or can be your dinner. Of course, normally people prefer to have mostly, I will say, on your day off. You know, what a great day to have a lunch. Before the lunch, have a great aperitif. Most of the aperitif normally are consumed before the dinner. Of course, we will see next week when we're going to talk about lunch and dinners and all this kind of food when we do the food-friendly category. So that's something we will discuss next week. So let me introduce to you another classic cocktail, another aperitif style, which is the Hibiscus Americana. So Hibiscus Americana. Why Americano? Is actually a classic cocktail called Americano. And this cocktail is now what we're going to see today. Here we have the bitter, so it's actually something that's been replicated as a bitter. Then we have the cranberry, so the berry side. Then we have some ginger, so a good element of the little spiciness. And then we have the fresh lemon juice. And then we're going to top up with a splash of the actual hibiscus tonic water. So super cool. So let me show you what we are going to do here. And the cocktail, you probably saw, it has an interesting technique. It's a rolling technique. So in rolling technique, we're using 2 pieces shaker like this one. What are we going to see? In case you don't have the roller shaker like this, you can usually use a mixing glass like this. What's going to happen? The purpose is the same, just like the technique is different. This is a more professional approach. This is a bit more, I will say, enthusiast style. So you can actually stir. For the people that watched us during the technique, this is a very simple. You just need the ice and the spoon and then to mix it together. So let's jump and see now what we're going to have. So we will have the bitter here. So the bitter, it really replicates in Italy and around the world. There is the world famous bitter, which is called Campari. Now, Campari is the most world famous cocktail bitter around that you can see. Then what else we have? We're gonna have some nice cranberry juice. I will say, I think we have 60 milliliters on our recipe. And this is what we do here, and voila. And then we will have a bit of a lemon juice. And for my taste, I will go for 10. So 10 to 15 milliliters is what we really want to recommend for you to balance. So we have the 3 ingredients are already inside: the cranberry, the lemon juice, and then we put the bitter from Fabri guys that really replicate that flavor. So really interesting bittersweet. Now, one more thing really touch is the ginger, which is here. And now this is a bitter. Last week, we saw someone asking us why we are using the bitters inside our cocktails. Well, the reason we're using bitter in our cocktails is because we like to really balance. We have a difference between the bitter what we use as what we saw as a syrup, because that is quite sugary. This bitter is completely dry, and this is a ginger bitter in this case. So really interesting when you have so intense. So that's why 2 drops. What's going to happen when we're going to start really rolling is going to open up. So really will release a lot of the beautiful flavor, because ginger is very interesting. So even 2 drops really blends very well with the bitter or bittersweet of the orange. That's what the base is for that kind of bitter. And then you will have the cranberry and the splash of the lemon juice. So this is what they. Let me open this, and what's going to happen here. I love this hibiscus. Now, hibiscus is a classic, something that very much used here in Middle East, is the carcade. Some people like to enjoy the hibiscus during the summer. So really, it's a tea at the end of the day. You can find nice and fresh. I will probably have here something for you to show you. This is actually the hibiscus, and super cool. We're gonna see that, and then you just pretty much you boil with the hot water, and you get a beautiful tea from here. And the same, it's a very floral, but also quite dry. So very interesting. So the dry element is there. It's not bitter, but it's quite dry. For some people, dryness also will come as a little bit bitter, just at the back of your tongue there. So let's have this one. On the glass we're going to serve is pretty much here. Is our rocks glass, and then we will have. Now, Americano cocktail, what a great. Americano is a classic, so which is made from Campari, vermouth rosso, and soda water. So here what we're going to replicate is exactly the same. Now here, since we have the bubble and we don't shake it, what we want is literally to mix well. Now this is a technique. I'm using 2 tins. Those 2 tins are getting colder. So as soon this is an excellent technique that as soon you start feeling in your finger the coldness around the shaker, pretty much the cocktail is ready. An Americano is something that was born to please the Americani, where they were the dolce vita style in Italy. They were really enjoying this style. So, and this is where it was a bit too bitter for them to drink in just the Campari and soda, and then they introduced something like this. Now, I will definitely go for a nice, cool orange orange wedge. Look at this. Beautiful. And then the finishing, I will put some hibiscus here. I will show you on this camera here, and you guys can very much see how it really looks like. The nice orange. Now, I really like to give the full nice orange wedge on this one, is because then many people really enjoy to really have the squeeze of the orange on top, if you really want to enjoy a bit of an extra touch of the orange. Let me have a sip. Ooh, nice, very nice. Now, the fact that this Americano, we saw that last week there were people asking about the Negroni, which is very much an Americano without the soda water we put in the gin, so it really works very well. In this case, an element, the hibiscus and the cranberry and the ginger and the bitter is really a great combination. So really they marry together. So it's a very simple to replicate at the end of the day, but really works. So this is something that looks good, it feels good, and the texture of the light bubbling carbonation coming from the hibiscus tonic water really works. So I think that's pretty much, I will say, in terms of the aperitif, and I'm happy to get a few questions. I will say those are the 2 cocktails that we've been showcasing today. The citrus spritz, and one is the Americano. Similar in the way of flavor, different on terms of colors and in terms of the texture. So Shanaz, I'm happy to get some questions here before we can wrap everything for the day. I will do a nice recap before we close it. So let me know if there are more questions. I can't hear you, Shanaz.
Sorry. Okay, so Ashish wants to know if the Fabri bitter is made from cherry.
Ah, okay, that's a good question. No, the guys are not making, that's made because they are very famous for their Amarena cherry. So they actually have a cherry, we all drawn up in Italy with a certain flavor, and when you go to an ice cream shop, a lot of time the guys, they have this Amarena cherry. But no, in this case, it's made from bitter. The bitter is not made from Amarena. It's actually is made from an orange. So the essence and everything, of course, all the rest of the aroma. So no, it's not made from a cherry. I like that question. Bravo.
And Laram again wants to know what herbs go well with hibiscus.
Which herbs
go with hibiscus?
Ah, okay. Well, I tell you, hibiscus is as much as a very distinctive flavor, it's quite versatile at the same time. So I will say that really goes very well with the meat. So meat also goes very well. I really enjoy, imagine if you do your cacades or your hibiscus tea, you just put everything. The fact that you can drink also chill, so you can leave and drink when it's cold, you can stick in the fridge. You can also take a lot of advantage from a citrus point of view. So a lemon or thyme, a lemon thyme goes also very well. So fresh mint, thyme, those are really good elements to mix with the actual hibiscus.
Okay. Another question that I've got privately is there any particular glass that I could use to serve an aperitif?
Okay, good, very good. Now, glassware, we discussed about this last week, and we saw a lot of different shape and different style and materials as well. So in terms of a glassware, as you can see today, we use a tool. So the carbonation is something that during an aperitif takes really is a very much welcome from our side. So in this case, a tall glass will go. A rocks glass like this large, this is quite large. So in terms of size, a good 350 milliliter glass will work well. So with ice, you probably put a liquid around 200 milliliter. But also, if you think about, I'm just checking if I have something here. No, I don't have with me. But then you have the champagne flute, also can be used in terms of if you want to have no sparkling, sparkling wine, zero sparkling wine with a bit of a lemon. So it really works very well. So the entire glass, definitely in terms of an aperitif, if you work on the cocktail zero element, I will stay away from the straight up cocktail. Straight up glass like this, it kind of like became a bit more complicated to balance them. So we definitely with the student when they come to the school here, we can do something, but it takes a bit of skills to go around. So for the guys to know how to really balance. So like this, easy to replicate, 1, 2, 3 ingredients, and then you can get away. So I like that question on glassware. Thank you.
And Bibek wants to know if hibiscus goes well with pomegranate juice.
Oh, okay. I think I got a lot of attention with this hibiscus today. Yeah, I got you. That's good. That's very nice.
Hibiscus questions.
Of course, I knew hibiscus is a traditional here in Middle East. Also in Italy, we're using the carcade. We love that. This is fresh in the summertime. We know how hot it can get, so really pleasant. Now, pomegranate, absolutely. Pomegranate it goes very well for the balance. In this case today, we use the cranberry juice, so the berry side, but pomegranate 100%, because pomegranate, don't forget, has also that bittersweet feeling. If you forever you bite some seeds, you can get a really dry and bitter, but also the outside. So a very nice ripe pomegranate will give you a very good. Nice and sweet, but also dry and bitter taste. So pomegranate and hibiscus is a great combination. So well done for your question, Brad.
So the last question is a bit strange, a little away from hibiscus. It says, is pineapple juice good to use in aperitifs?
Okay, I like this question. Well done. Now, what we mentioned this at the very beginning, the fact that there are certain flavors that associate us in a certain environment. So let's say a pineapple juice, for instance, when I'm talking about a good, nice, we hear, especially in Dubai, we find very cool, nice Philippines pineapple. I know John is watching us. John is one of our beautiful cameramen behind the scene here, and now he's watching me and saying, "Yeah, pineapple from Philippines are the best." Absolutely. So pineapple, as much as great. I love the pineapple also from Sri Lanka, super sweet. The Indian guys, absolutely fantastic. The female style, very sweet. So the fact that the pineapple has a lot of notes of sweetness, that doesn't really go into the aperitif style because it will be too tropical. So if you are one of the viewers on regular, you will see that in one of the sessions, you will see 100% the pineapple on its best, the way it's performing, because pineapple definitely doesn't go as an aperitif, but it's such a great, I would say, outdoor ingredients that we can enjoy. So that's a good question. Definitely, I will stay away from the pineapple. Even so, there are a couple of recipes, but now we talk about an advanced level. So I think the guys, when they come here at the school, they get that part on the level 2, because that's how to really transform certain flavor in something. So really, thank you very much. So nice, Shanas, this was fantastic. There's so many questions. I like all around the hibiscus, the flavor. So do we have more questions?
Yeah, just one or two quick ones, okay? So Carsten wants to know, what do you think about hibiscus carcade margarita?
Hibiscus carcade margarita, okay. Now, we did the recipe here last week. We did a sparkling margarita. You remember, we did, of course, everything we do here in ICCA at the school with Alembic, everything is all related to cocktail zero, so dry mixologies. So when we do a margarita, of course, we don't have any usage of tequila or orange liquors. Those are the ingredients you use normally into your margarita. Here we do a recipe definitely using an agave. So we do an agave nectar, which is the plant where the tequila is coming from. And then we will mix definitely with the lime and then with our flavoring. I will say the hibiscus or the carcade will work very well for the margarita because it has the element of a floral, dry, so it really works very well because that will match with the lime, as I mentioned before, works with the lemon. So why not? So I think this is good. I like to try yours, by the way. When you guys have something to share, send us your pictures so we can actually see what you guys are doing at home on your favorite bar, because this is very interesting for us to see you guys on action as well. Yeah?
Giovanni, sorry, I thought you're done. Would you suggest any other flowers other than hibiscus for aperitifs specifically?
Any other flower?
Yes.
Well, flower, probably, let me thinking about. Well, you see, if we say flower flavor, I will say elderflower. Elderflower is also something that we use when we talk about aperitif. However, elderflower tend to be, if you're using a cordial, or if you're using a syrup, or if you use an extract, it's a bit of a tricky to be used. You gotta know how to balance, which is extremely important. Otherwise, you end up with the sweetness of too much, because a lot of the elderflower cordial or syrup you will find around, the level of sweet is quite high. So you need to know how to balance. Always remember that a good way, not exceed the 10 milliliter. That will be enough, and then you always need to balance with a bit of a lemon or lime, depending on the flavor that you would like to achieve. And also, elderflower also with the mint. Mint is very nice when you talk about a good aperitif. It's nice because it's always very fresh and stimulating. So very cool. So in terms of flower, I would say elderflower is the one that I would like to use. Of course, the color will be different. Carcade or hibiscus brings a lot of red. The elderflower is almost kind of like pale yellow, so it really gets more transparency there. So that's a good one. Yeah?
One last question for the day before we close.
I love it.
There's so many. Okay, so says ask you to talk about a few common mistakes that people make when they make aperitifs.
Okay. There was a few common mistakes when the people.
Yes.
Okay. This is an interesting question. You know, we showcase what to do. We don't concentrate on what not to do. You know, when we do those kind of things. Well, if we looking back on what we did today, and of course our session will be available on YouTube straight after a few hours when the session is finished. You guys can go back and have a look what we just did, which is extremely important. You know, when you play with your sweetness, always balance with a bit of sour. So keep that in mind. So concentrate how to balance the sweet and sour, and then bring the carbonation. For sure, carbonation gives a very nice light, so to the cocktail, it lifts it up. If you do something still, so let's say a classic tea, still tea, it will not have the same because the stillness is just like a bit too heavy. Imagine that when you go to a nice fine dining restaurant, probably find a good fine dining restaurant, they always give you a very little sparkling water, because sparkling water is also great on its own as a great palate cleanser. So it really works. So when you really tender your senses, so it really works as a wake up. So thinking about what not you should do, think about what we can do, and this is the thing. I always focus on the sweet and sour, and definitely work on something much more light perlage, not still. So this is the trick. And not concentrating, looking to tropical flavors, because we need them for another things. Work on citrus, work on something fresh, herbal, dry, and bitter. So those are the things that we want to really focus. Yeah. More questions, Shanaz?
That's it, Giovanni. That's it for today.
Yeah. Excellent. Today was a great questions. I really enjoy when you guys interacting. Whatever you are watching, guys, if it's your bar, your office, your home, we really enjoy the fact that you ask questions to us, because this is what we do. We are an educational school here, and we like to share our knowledge. Now, to wrap up the section today was about introduction to the 5 categories of the cocktail zero. So the aperitif, then we discussed about the food-friendly, the teas and coffee, the outdoor pool and garden, and then we introduced the tiki style. Now, today, the focus was not on all of them, but it was the focus on the aperitif. So the aperitif, we've been just talking about with all those characteristics that you should looking for, the bitterness, the dry. So really, that carbonation helps to have all this. And so this is what we do. We've been taught today. An aperitif has been there for, as long as I've got memory. Always you have an aperitif before definitely a meal. That's the time you want to enjoy your aperitif. So I will say that from Mr. G, and Liquid Alembic team, and the rest of the crew here at the ICCA Dubai, thank you very much from my side. I will pass to you, Shanaz, to do the rest. And then Karun will do the closing, and he will tell you about how to actually download the rest of the recipes. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. See you next week with the food-friendly category. That's what we're going to talk about next week. Stay tuned. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Mr. G. Thank you, everyone, for attending. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and look forward to having you with us next week, next Tuesday at the same time. Over to you, Karun.
Thank you, Giovanni and Shanaz, for a fantastic session. A quick note, you can download today's recipe from the handout section. Also, an email will soon follow with the replay video of this webinar, together with the handouts as well. Lastly, we encourage you to recreate the aperitifs demonstrated today and share them on your social media platforms by tagging Liquid Alembic and also at ICCA Dubai we look forward to seeing you again for the next session on next Tuesday. And yeah, goodbye from all of us here.
Ciao.